Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Uh, ako yung nagagalak that you can join us today for Vival's webinar series, the New Now series. Again, good afternoon. But before we proceed, I'd like to greet everyone. We're celebrating today our 122nd Philippine independence. So, maligayang araw ng kasarinlan para sa lahat ng Pilipino na nakikinig sa hapon na ito. So for this, before I even introduce myself, just some reminders for Vival. Kindly watch and share the live stream on your FB account with your key takeaway and the hashtag LearnAsOnePH as your caption if you would like to receive a digital certificate of participation for this webinar. You can click or go to the link as shown below and fill out the necessary form. So, yun. So, muli po, good afternoon sa lahat. I am tasked or I was invited by Bival to give a talk as part of their New Now series. And isa pong napakalaking karangalan sa akin to be your speaker for this afternoon as I talk about the military education and training and how we're coping with the challenges posed by our current condition. So I am Major Rosmar Villareal, Corps Professor, and currently the Commanding Officer of the Training Development Center at the Air Education, Training, and Doctrine Command, Philippine Air Force. Ako po ay isang tubong Baguio, kaya I'd like to greet also those mga kababayan ko sa Baguio City. Good afternoon to all of you. And also, I'm a member of the Corps of Professors, Armed Forces of the Philippines. And as shown in my slide, I am a graduate of BS Electronics and Communication Engineering from the UP Diliman. I also took up my education units at the Benguet State University and finished my Master of Arts in Education, major in Mathematics at the University of Cordilleras. I have been part of the Corps of Professors and was assigned for 7 years at the Philippine Military Academy. Okay, so right now, yun nga po, ako po ay isang commanding officer ng isang unit dito sa Air Force. So again, muli po, Happy Philippine Independence Day. So hindi ko na po papatagalin. I'm sure some of you are curious of what I'll be sharing this afternoon. But para lang po sa inyong kaalaman, I'm more excited to learn from you. I have been watching Bibal's series and tunay nga po that I've been learning a lot, especially on how we do education and training at this time in our history or sa ating society, no? That may kinakaharap po tayong pandemya. Okay. So for this afternoon, ito po yung aking i-share. I'd like to share to you about the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and particularly since I'm assigned at the Philippine Air Force, about the education and training management system that we do here. I'd also like to showcase also kung ano pong ginagawa namin bilang mentors or mga taga-trainers or trainers dito sa Air Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. And also how we are adjusting now to the new now or the new normal, especially as we have to observe yung mga implications po na dala ng ating kondisyon ngayon. So, paano po ba kami nag-a-adjust dito sa military education and training? So, this afternoon, mga kaibigan, I hope you learn something from me, but I'm also looking forward to learn from you. Okay. So, for this afternoon's learning objectives, this webinar session aims to provide you a general concept of AFP and the Philippine Air Force education and training system. And it's not always na makaka-encounter po tayo nito. And even I am surprised that Vibal invited me as your speaker for this afternoon. And when I asked them kung ano yung pwede kong i-share, they said that they are also looking forward to know how we conduct training and education for those in the military sector. So hopefully you learn something from this. And for you, I hope also that at the end of this session, at least you'll be able to describe what the AFP and the PAF education training system is, and you can relate the best practices of our military education and training to your respective jobs and tasks. I believe that most of our listeners or our viewers are part of the education and training sector. And also, I hope I can encourage you to value your role as educators and schools in the human resource capability. Okay. So, let's start. Okay. So, gusto kong tanong kung ano ang thoughts ninyo about this. What comes to your mind? What comes first to your mind when you encounter these terms? Military. And since I'm talking about military education and training, and the word training, ano po ba yung pumapasok sa inyo? Sa inyong kaisipan? So ako, I tried to Google it. When I typed military training, one of the pictures that surfaced is this one. Marami siguro nakaka-relate sa inyo kung ano tong photo na to. And then I Googled some more. At ito naman yung tumambad. Okay, so ganyan talaga yung mga klase ng the quality of people that are being trained, no? Pero kidding aside, I was thinking kung ano nga ba talaga yung nasa isip niyo when you read the words military and training. So, ito mali to kasi police pala siya. He's not military. Okay, so kidding aside, in reality, this is what we do in the military. First, at the first day that we enter the military service, we have what we call this reception rite. So as you can see in the photo, that's the beginning of the training life of a military man or woman. So it follows with the regimented training on how they can build their skills, adjust to the difficult environment, and so on. So meron din kaming mga classroom instructions. So this is basically what I intend to share to you this afternoon. That medyo bibigyan ko lang kayo ng glimpse because I cannot showcase everything. But I hope that you will have a big picture of how we do military education and training. So as part of this, I'd like first to tell you about my organization, the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And if we will look back to our history, we trace our roots from the Kabayanihan, Lapu-Lapu, and of course, who would ever forget what our predecessors in the Katipunan did as they help us to natamasahin kung ano man po ang kalayaan na experience natin ngayon. So these are the historical background of how my organization came to be. And but in 1935, through the National Defense Act, the Armed Forces of the Philippines was created. And we have this mission. We are mandated to serve and protect the Filipino people and secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of its national territory from internal and external threats. So yan po ang aming mission at ang aming mandato. And we are here to do just this para po sa ating bansa. And currently, we have 3 major branches of service. As you can see those symbols, yung nasa leftmost po, yan po ang simbolo or seal ng Philippine Army. The one in the center ay ang Philippine Air Force. At ang nasa kanan naman po ay ang Philippine Navy. So currently, our organization have 3 major branches of service: the Philippine Army, the Philippine Air Force, and the Philippine Navy. According to the 1987 Constitution, ang inyo pong armed forces ay mandated to do this. As part of our existence, the Armed Forces of the Philippines shall be composed of a citizen armed force which shall undergo military training and serve as may be provided by law, and it shall keep a regular force necessary for the security of the state. So I'm just showing this para po ipakita that before we can be part of this organization, we need to undergo military training. So it is a requirement bago po kami magsilbi bilang mga sundalo. And also, it is part of the state's responsibility or goal to strengthen the patriotic spirit and nationalist consciousness of the military, and so that we could practice respect for people's rights in the performance of our duty. So gaya po na nasabi ko, we have three major services. Ito po, ang Air Force, ang Army, at ang Navy. And bilang in accordance or in adherence to what we have seen or what we have just read from excerpts from the Constitution, ang tinutumbok po niyan ay ang AFP daw po ay kailangan maging isang professional na organization. So what do we mean by professional? So sabi dito sa ating Constitution, our personnel must be patriotic, nationalistic, and apolitical. And part of our being professional is for us to perform our duty to God, people, and country with utmost honor and dignity. So ito po ang expected sa bawat isa nasa hukbong sandatahan ng Pilipinas. Ang maglingkod po sa Diyos, sa tao, at sa ating bayan na may karangalan at dignidad at dangal. That is why, for us, in order to be able or be equipped to do just this, we need responsive education and training na siya pong maghuhubog sa amin para magampanan po namin yung role namin na ito na ipagtanggol ang kasarinlan ng ating bansa at protektahan po ang mga tao na nasa ating bayan. So we will now go to our AFP education and training. So kanina po I gave you a brief history or description of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Now, let's go now to what we call education and training in our organization. So before we proceed, I'd like to define some terms as mentioned or stated in our AFP Education and Training Manual. So first, I'd like to define education. In the manual na nabanggit ko po kanina, education is defined as the totality of the knowledge, competencies, skills, and desirable character traits, values, and attitudes acquired through a formal course of study, instruction, or training, which includes the conditioning, strengthening, or disciplining of the intellect and all human faculties. So ang haba po, no? But why would I like to share this? Kasi po ito yung mga terms na paulit-ulit po nating ma-encounter later. So another term that I'd like to share or for us to know about on how we define this in our manual is the word training. So in training po, we define it as the development of a particular skill or group of skills through the regimen of teaching drills, skills exercises, practices, and systems primarily designed to enhance precision and disciplined response. So ito po yung mga definition namin. I'd just like to emphasize some terms here. So balikan po natin yung education. So for us, education is the totality. So for later on, as we compare it with training, education is more on the broader scope of yun na po, dealing with knowledge, competencies, skills, and desirable traits, values, and attitudes. So ito po yung totality. Yung edukasyon daw po ay yung totality ng pagkakaroon ng ganitong mga katangian or competencies which are acquired through a formal course of study. So ito po yung education that usually when we talk about education, we're dealing with a formal or ibig sabihin ng formal is intentional, may struktura po para makamit po itong may structure yung activities para makamit po itong or magkaroon tayo ng characteristic or competencies that are needed. So it's a formal course of study, instruction, or training, which includes the conditioning and so on. So comparing it now with training, kung kanina education is the totality, Training is defined in our manual as the development of a particular skill or group of skills through the regimen of teaching drills, uh, skills, exercises, practices, and systems, primarily designed to enhance precision and discipline response. So in short, para po may ano lang tayo, leveling. Okay. Education is pertaining to the instructions on the broad and basic cognitive skills. So for us, when we say education, we are dealing with this aspect, yung thinking po, how to think. Although we go through, we treat it as a broad concept. Okay? While, if we compare it with training, ito naman po yung particular skills. So, particular skills meaning, ano po yung desired or specific skills, may it be a specialization or something technical, para po magampanan nung learner yung prospective or future role niya sa workplace. So, ito naman, kung kanina education deals with how we will think, training deals with how we will do it or how we will do a certain task. So, yun po yung kailangan natin in order for us to be able to do a certain task. Okay? I hope nakaka-follow pa po tayo. So, definition of terms pa lang po ito. Okay. So, in our organization, in the AFP, tabi ko lang, most of the courses conducted combine education and training in the sense that these courses normally encompass both the cognitive and physical aspects of the subject matter under study. So, kaya sinasabi ko, kahit may sometimes we make a delineation of what education and training is, our education and training are, para sa amin, madalas naman na ang education and training are not two distinct and separate activities. But as we look here, it is one series of activities inherent in a particular course of study. So sometimes, interchangeable naman po yung paggamit sa terms na education and training. Pero kung minsan, para lalo na kaming mga guro dito sa Armed Forces, dinidefine po namin yung training when we deal with specifics is patungkol po ito sa mga psychomotor skills or training para makamit yung mga desired psychomotor skills. While when say about education, when we deal with education, yan po yung formal study courses that deals mostly with the cognitive aspect of learning. Okay? So, but technically rin, or in general, pareho lang po, pwede namang ma-interchange when we use it in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Okay. So the term training is accepted in the AFP as the generic term for education and training that are geared towards building the capacity and professional development of our personnel. Okay. Okay. So punta naman po tayo sa philosophy that we adhere sa aming education and training. Okay, so what is the background or what is the cause of why we do education and training in the armed forces? So ano po yung mga driving forces din namin? Okay. So we base our training or we are guided sa pagconduct namin ng training by the AFP Code of Ethics. We're in this policy or this code that we swear to sa armed forces, it's supposed to guide each member of our organization to maintain standards of professionalism, loyalty, competence, ethics, and morals. So ito po yung mga nakasaad po dito, yung mga gabay namin para po ma-maintain nga po namin yung expected na standard sa amin bilang sundalo. Okay? So what is contained in the AFP Code of Ethics? Of course, nire-remind po kami sa aming Code of Ethics about our constitutional mandate. Like what I've said, we are, as soldiers of the Philippines, we are mandated to serve and protect our people and defend the sovereignty of our state. Okay? And protection from defense of our national territory. Okay? So that's our constitutional mandate. Second, the AFP Code of Ethics is very strong on this, that each member of our organization should gain public trust and respect. So, kaya ganun na lang din po na we are very careful on how we carry ourselves, no? Kasi ang desire po namin ma-please po ang tao. Hindi naman po para lang trip lang, pero yun nga po, trust and respect po yung gusto namin na maibigay ng tao sa amin, and we cannot expect you, our the people we serve, to do this kung hindi po kami deserving. So the code of ethics in the armed forces states on how we could carry ourselves so that we will be worthy of public trust and respect. And of course, meron din po kami, just like any other organization, may pina-follow din po kaming core values or sinasubscribe po na core values. And right now, we have 3, yung honor, service, and patriotism. So these are the elements behind the AFP education and training. Okay, so also according to our code of ethics, about education and training. So may isa pong section doon. Ang sabi po dito that it shall be the responsibility of both the AFP bilang isang organization at bawat miyembro ng AFP as individuals to pursue education and training for the purpose of enhancing proficiency in the service. So we are really required. So wala pong sundalo na magsaserve lang. Required po ang bawat sundalo na mag-pursue po ng training, ng education and training, so that we could enhance proficiency in our service to you. Okay, so pursue education and enhance proficiency. So dito po sa armed forces, kung tutusin, learning never stops also. So kailangan po naming pag-ibayuhin yung aming mga kakayanan so that we can be responsive sa mga needs ng aming organization at syempre yung nire-required po na kalidad ng serbisyo para sa inyo. Okay, so with this, knowing now that this is how we view or the force or the reason why we conduct training and also the guiding principles that yun nga, yung gumagabay po sa aming training. We also deal or we consider our soldiers, bawat isa pong sundalo namin, using the whole man concept. Ano po ba yun, yung whole man concept? Ang sinasabi po natin na ang isang sundalo or isang tao ay may body, has a mind, and has a heart. Okay? And these are the elements that we consider when we do training. So the mind, of course, pertains to the cognitive domain of learning. Okay? And the heart is about the affective domain. And the body, as we all know, is on the psychomotor domain of learning. So we deal with all those domains when we intend to impart learning or to develop the competencies of our constituents, your soldiers. So ito po yung kino-consider namin kaming nasa education and training sector in the military. Okay. So on these areas, other terms for what I've mentioned as domains, yung knowledge nga po for cognitive, the attitude and values for our affective, and the skills for psychomotor. So we all need this, itong mga competencies po na ito or qualities para magampanan po namin yung role namin bilang sundalo. So the next slides that I'd like to show you are pertaining to our role. The role of the AFP at ang bawat sundalo in national development or sa nation building. Okay? So first and foremost, like what was said in the Constitution and the National Defense Act, your armed forces is here to serve and protect you, the people, and also to defend the sovereignty of our country. So yan po ang pangunahin naming tungkulin, ang pagsilbihan at pagprotektahan po ang tao at yun nga po, ensure that we are free from any invasion or pananakop ng anumang pong elemento na hindi naman po natin kalahi. Okay. Also, aside from that primary mandate, we are also expected to perform internal security operations. So ang kaibahan po nito kanina is more on external forces po. But we also have this function currently wherein we also are expected to perform internal security operations. So ito naman po yung within us. So ito nga yung medyo nakakalungkot because we cannot avoid na kapwa Pilipino po nakagiging kalaban din. Pero itong mga kapwa Pilipino na ito, alam po natin na dahil po salungat po yung kanilang gustong mangyari hindi po naaayon kung ano po nakasaad sa ating konstitusyon at sa mga batas ng bansa. So example of that is of course the Marawi siege and all of these things happening within our territory, wherein ang kalaban po kapwa Pilipino. And also recently, this has been a very relevant function that we've been performing. As members of the armed forces, we have also served as frontliners during this time. At this time na may pandemya po na kinakaharap ang bansa at ang buong mundo. So we augment the Philippine National Police and other services in their different tasks. So part of it, yun po, sa mga checkpoints. And we also had the task of also, syempre, yun po, to help also in the delivery of mga medical kits. We also help in the distribution of mga ayuda ng gobyerno. Also, for our military doctors, have also helped sa pagtugon din po sa mga pangailangan sa kalusugan. Okay. And also, just recently, even before we experienced nga po tong pandemya on COVID-19, your military is also considered as responders during disasters and calamities. So recently, in January, we experienced a eruption of Taal volcano, wherein again, your military were frontliners to deliver relief services, conduct rescue, and also some rehabilitation projects. Okay pa po? Okay pa tayo? Okay. So also, aside from those, yun nga, yung tinatawag nga po namin itong military operations other than war. Also in our ranks are educators, trainers, medical and dental services, service givers, engineers, legal service givers, and chaplains. So ilan lang po yan sa mga tungkulin din ng mga sundalo na nandito po sa inyong armed forces. So katulad ko po, isa po akong guro. So I'm serving the armed forces in this capacity. Dito nga po sa education and training sector po ng ating organization. Okay, so again, bakit po tayo nagtitrain? Yun po yung baka natatanong natin, bakit kailangan i-train? So again nga po, di ba sabi, nakasaad po yun sa ating konstitusyon na kailangan pag-ibayuhin po natin namin ang yun po pag-pursue sa education and training. Dahil yan po ang kailangan namin para mabigyan po kami ng appropriate competencies or kakayanan para gampanan po ang aming mga kanya-kanyang tungkulin. So, yun po. So kung kanina tinanong natin why train, this time, part of my sharing to you is kung paano po namin ginagawa yung training. So I hope you're still bearing with me. Okay, so for us, in the AFP, we have what we call the Education and Training Management System. Ang goal po, or ETMS ang tawag namin. So ang goal po nito is to focus, integrate, and synchronize all our AFP education and training activities. Saan po namin to i-focus, integrate, and synchronize? Okay, what we meant by this is that all of our doctrines should be translated to training. So ibig po sabihin, there is no training that we conduct na hindi po naaayon sa isang doktrina. Okay? Because the doctrines in our organization depicts the necessary competencies po na kinakailangan para magampanan nga po namin ang aming mga expected task or required task. Also, through the ETMS ng aming armed forces, this system aims to provide progressive education and training for each leadership level. So for us in the military, meron po kaming hierarchical career progressive path po that we follow. And sometimes that career path is termed as the leadership, different leadership levels that we go through as we progress in the service. No, so we start from entry level, and then there's another level that we have to go to. We're in different obligations or different responsibilities will be entrusted to us, and then another as we meron parang ladder po yan that we follow a certain career path that pertains to mostly different responsibilities, tasks na kinakailangan po namin gampanan in our organization. So the ETMS also means to help us follow that track of pursuing the upward way in our leadership ladder. Okay, and also the ETMS is there to align organizational mission through a focused, relevant, and responsive curriculum. So through the ETMS, one of its functions is to develop curricula or to review our existing courses or programs of instruction na dapat po ina-align lagi namin, hindi po nalilihis sa amin pong mission or our mandate. And lastly, the AFP ETMS aims to produce operationally ready AFP. So, in that ETMS, meron pong parameters or sometimes we call it pillars of education and training. So, sa iba, when you say pillars of education and training, iba po yata sa other organizations. But for us, when these pillars are mentioned, we're talking about the different parameters we're in or components that support that support our education and training. So ito po yung mga tinitingnan ng ETMS namin that should be responsive to an effective training here in the armed forces. So unang-una po is instructor development. We have to ensure that we have the competent instructors and trainers to provide yun nga po, education and training to our personnel. Second is curriculum. Of course, we should have also a very responsive program of instruction. And along with a good curriculum, of course, we need to have the facilities, material, and equipment. Ito po yung mga logistical support in order for us to have or conduct our training effectively. Of course, we have the systems and management pertaining to the school. Next is that we care for our students. Yung meron po tayong mga programs that will ensure na matapos po ng mga estudyante yung kanilang kurso or whatever training that they are undergoing. And all of this should be properly evaluated. So isa rin pong pillar that we assess and evaluate ito pong mga components ng aming education and training. Okay, AFP ETMS is actually based or we follow the Henry Fayol's classical management theory. So in order for us to check those pillars, ito po yung ginagamit natin na pamamaraan. So forecast and planning, organizing, command, coordinate, and control. So I will not discuss it further, pero basically ito po yung mga roles ng mga nasa education and training sector ng aming organization. So we follow Henry Fayol's model of management para po maisakatuparan yung kanina pong na-mention ko about our education and training management system. Alright. So next, may oras pa naman tayo. Ito po yung mga units that we have, education and training units that we have in the armed forces. So one of the largest, or in terms of the impact that it gives to our organization, our pre-entry school, which is also a bachelor degree conferring school, is yung PMA po. And another general headquarters level na Education and Training Unit is the AFP Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. So along with this, meron pa pong tatlo in each branches of service at ako nga po ay kabilang dito yung nasa gitna sa Air Education, Training, and Doctrine Command ng Philippine Air Force. At meron din po ang Philippine Army, their Training and Doctrine Command, PA, and ang Navy po, ang Naval Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. So ito pong mga organization na to ang siyang nag-lead sa pag-educate at pagtitrain ng ating kasundaluhan. Okay? And our link, in order for us to accomplish these things, our link to the General Headquarters is the Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff for Education and Training, or JA. Okay. So, magfo-focus po ako dito sa kung saan po ako assigned sa Air Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. We are based in Fernando Air Base, Lipa City, also known as the summer capital of the Philippine Air Force. And ang tawag nga po namin dito, the home of the Air Force mentors. So dito po naka-concentrate mostly ang education and training activities ng Philippine Air Force. So this is medyo malamig-lamig din po dito. Kaya nung na-assign po ako dito, hindi ako ganun nanibago, coming from Baguio. But this is one of the best places of assignment para po sa aming mga sundalo. So for us, here in the Mentors family, our mission is to educate and train personnel and develop doctrines in support of the Philippine Air Force mission. And ang vision namin is a more capable and credible training institution responsive to the needs of the Philippine Air Force. Okay, so just a quick view lang po. We have different courses and schools here in the AETDC. Ang una po yung mga pre-entry schools namin. First is the Philippine Air Force Basic Military School. Ito po yung school or training institution para po sa naglalayo na maging sundalo na kabilang po sa Philippine Air Force. Okay. Also, for those officers na gusto naman po mag-aspire na bilang officer sa Philippine Air Force, ang school naman po para sa kanila ay ang Philippine Air Force Officer Candidate School. Okay. So, aside from pre-entry, we have the professional military education. Basically po, when we talk about PME or professional military education, mostly the courses being given concentrates on leadership development, management, and enhancing their communication skills. So ito po yung kumbaga courses sa mga schools na to na nagbibigay ng kakayanan po sa ating kasundaluhan para yun yung minimension ko po kanina that we have to go higher in our career paths because we will along our service po we are expected to perform tasks or responsibilities that are not the same as those below. So habang umaakyat po kami, mas mabibigat na responsibilities po yung ginagampanan namin. So that's why we need these PME schools para po ma-equip ang bawat kasundaluhan to meet those requirements in their workplace. Okay, so the first for our enlisted personnel po, ang school para sa kanila ay ang Philippine Air Force Non-Commissioned Officer School. And for our officers, the Philippine Air Force Officer School. Next is our technical and specialization schools. Okay? So from the term itself, technical and specialization, ang Air Force po bilang isang technical branch of service because we have to deal with our aircrafts and air operations, kinakailangan po ng talagang competencies how to deal with these assets and machines. Okay? So these are the schools that actually help our airmen and airwomen para magampanan po yung mga different roles nila. So we have the Philippine Air Force Technical and Specialization School. In terms of logistics, we have the Philippine Air Force Logistic Training Center. And what nawala? There is supposed to be the flying school. Anyway, of course, our pinaka bread and butter po ng Philippine Air Force is the flying school, wherein we train aviation people, okay, pilots. Okay, we have support units such as our airbase group, our aircraft maintenance group, and our Doctrine Center, which is called the Air Warfare Center, and my unit, yung Training Development Center. Okay, just a little background din sa Education and Training sa Training Development Center, which is currently my unit. Maybe I can compare this to an agency or an office that supervises how the training units perform. Okay, so kumbaga, we here in the Training Development Center, we have 4 core functions, particularly the curriculum development, instructor development, evaluation, and we do research and special studies. But kung i-compare po, para po kaming CHED as they oversee yung mga state colleges and universities. So kami naman po sa Training Development Center, we help the schools meet the standards on how training and education should be done. So yun lang po. And also, we have counterparts. Hindi po kami nag-iisa sa Air Force. We also have TDC in the Philippine Army and in the Philippine Navy. Okay, so I'm malapit na pong matapos. Of course, ang key people, hindi po magiging posible ang education and training without the runners or yung manpower po na nagpa-perform ng roles as military educators here in the schools that I have mentioned. So for us here in AETDC, we are called the Path Mentors. Okay? So we have the responsibility to facilitate learning. At yun nga po siguro, ito po yung common ground natin, lalo na po sa mga karamihan ng ating viewers and listeners, no? That most of you are teachers or educators. So kami rin po dito sa Armed Forces, particularly here in the Philippine Air Force, we have a similar role to play, just as the ones that you are performing. Okay? Also, in terms of the general headquarters or the AFP-wide, meron pong organization din na kabilang din po ako, which is called the Corps of Professors, Armed Forces of the Philippines. So I'm one of the first Corps of Professors members to be assigned here in the Philippine Air Force, and it is a privilege that I was given the privilege of serving the Philippine Air Force by being the first commanding officer of the Training Development Center. Okay, so going back, gusto ko lang pong i-flex talaga ang aming unit, yung Air Education Training and Doctrine Command. Ito nga po, paniniwala dito, or what we, kumbaga, mantra namin or our motto here is that the AETDC is where the good, right, and proper begins. So in Tagalog, dito ang simula ng tama at wastong paniniwala. Okay? And aside from this, we have this, the one that you can see in our seal, Excelsior. I'm sharing this because this is part of our philosophy, no? That we perform as mentors and educators of the Philippine Air Force because we have this we have these principles that we believe in. So aside from believing na dito nga po ang simula ng tama at wastong paniniwala, part of our philosophy is yung Excelsior. And this is popularized by Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel characters. What does Excelsior mean? Actually, it's a Latin term which can be translated to ever upward or still higher. So parang isang ibon or agila that is soaring upwards. This is also the desire of our unit, our command, to excel or to go higher. Hindi po mag-settle lang sa papetiks-petiks lang. Okay, so actually part of our philosophy is the culture of excellence that we should have in the organization. All right, so buhay pa ba kayo? I hope you are learning something from me. So patapos na po tayo. So ito na po yung medyo mas hinabangan nyo po siguro. So kumusta naman po ba kami as we experience the new now? Especially that siyempre we deal with education and training, that lalo na po kami that most of what we do here pertains to the psychomotor side of or psychomotor domain of learning, that mostly requires yung close physical contact, and on and all. So, kumusta po ba kami on how we're doing our training right now? So, ito po yung malapit, i-share ko lang po mabilisan. Okay, so of course, because of the pandemic, kailangan po naming mag-follow ng mga protocols as set by IATF and the government. This would ensure na hindi po kumalat ang virus at the same time to protect our nation. So alam po natin kung gaano ka-serious, how serious the COVID pandemic is. So as part of this nation, of course, the AFP and the Philippine Air Force is sharing that responsibility po na hindi po maipakalat itong virus na ito. That's why we took some measures, proper measures para ituloy po ang aming training while observing yung mga proper protocols. Okay. But just to share to you is mahirap sa una talaga, but we needed something to hold on to. So para maka-proceed kami o makapag-continue kami sa aming ginagawa. Okay, so what are the things that we hold on to? First, we should remember our mission. Di ba? Ang mission namin, again, is to serve and protect you and defend the sovereignty of our nation. And every time that we remember this mission, it should not stop us from helping our personnel capacitate themselves to eventually take on the roles to meet the requirements of or the mandate that we were given. So ito po yung lagi namin nire-remind sa aming mga kasundaluhan that our mission is still the same. So ito rin po ang mission na ito ang sa magmo-motivate sa amin para mag-continue po sa kung ano man ginagawa namin. Okay, next is to focus our targets. Especially in the military, kailangan po naming may targets talaga. But since may mga kinakaharap po tayo, it also provided or made a way para tingnan po, i-revisit namin yung mga targets na. And I can share some more later. Okay. And the last is to strategize our approaches. Okay. So gaya po na nasabi ko, we talk about our mission. Kasama na rin po doon our core values and our vision. So again, when we are to remember our mission, this should be the driving force of why we do things. Okay? So gusto ko lang pong i-share sa inyo that right now we are privileged to have our leader, the Commanding General of the Philippine Air Force, who is encouraging us to continue for our mission as we practice yung kanya pong mantras of yung diwa, galing at malasakit. So those are the core values or virtues that we are actually observing para po ma-encourage kami na ituloy pa rin ang aming mission, that there should be diwa o pagkakaisa ng buong Air Force. Of course, ang galing. Kaya nga po, we are not giving up on training our personnel because that's one of the things that actually can make us rise from our situation kung meron pong competence na ma-develop sa ating kasundaluhan. At lastly po, ang malasakit that we should be caring sa ating pong sambayan ng Pilipino. And the Air Force is one with the nation in dealing with this, especially yung kinakaharap po natin na problema. And we believe na mairaraos po natin to by observing these virtues, ang diwa, galing at malasakit. So again, this is from our Commanding General, Lieutenant General Allen T. Paredes, Armed Forces of the Philippines. So doon naman sa focus our targets, of course, we are experiencing difficulties right now. So ang nakikita po natin is paano na yung mga initially na set na target. So ano na po ang gagawin natin? Kami po in the Philippine Air Force, we have what we call our Philippine Air Force Flight Plan for 2028. Dito po nakasaad, supposedly, ang amin pong ini-expect na ma-accomplish in the next years hanggang ma-reach po namin yung year 2028. Now, our flight plan doesn't mean na pag hindi po kami or kung may konting deviations, unsuccessful na po kami. Hindi naman po ganon. Ang flight plan po ay nagsiserve na guiding map namin. Kumbaga, just like we call the flight plan yun for our pilots, no? Yun po yung sinusunod nila na path para po mapuntahan nila yung objective nila or yung magampanan nila yung mission nila. So similar to our organization, the flight plan serves as a guide para po mas madali or mas effectively, mas efficiently naming ma-accomplish yung aming mission. But it doesn't mean that we cannot change some things there. Ang importante na nga po, yung sinabi ko pong una, yung number 1. Let us remember our mission. So, ito naman pong mga targets can be refocused. So, one of the things that we are refocusing right now is on how we are to conduct our training. So, since may kinakaharap nga po tayong uh, pandemya or sitwasyon sa ating society, yun po, we have to revisit our targets kung makatotohanan pa po ba or pwede pa bang ma-accomplish yan. Okay? So, but for us, I am very happy that the leadership of our organization is emphasizing this one. So, ang goal namin in education and training is to maintain the competency standards. So, despite yung limitations para i-conduct ang training or the situations that are yun nga, limiting us from kunwari kahit mga pag-invite ng mga speakers or guest lecturers or doing researches. So ang importante is which is actually will be discussed on my next point, no? We should find ways on how we can still refocus yung mga targets namin. And kung paano ma-accomplish pa rin yung mission at the same time hit those targets, yun nga lang in a different way. So, yun naman po. So part of what we are refocusing on are, aside from the competencies that we desire to achieve, is we are now putting emphasis on character development. So it is a time for us na magkakasama po dito. At the same time, it's a time for us na makapagmuni-muni po, no? And one of the projects or one of the activities that is being done in the Philippine Air Force is every day meron po kaming prayer time. And this is a way for us to develop our fear of God and trust on God in the midst of this situation. Also, being with the families has allowed us, syempre po yung mga nakatira dito, may opportunity rin para makasama nila yung pamilya kasi we are at the first part of the community quarantine, we are really operating on limited skeletal force. But that time also made us to appreciate yung buhay, appreciate our family, our loved ones, and also appreciate the service this organization that we have. Kasi akala namin mahirap din, pero mahirap nga ang buhay, pero we are thankful to the Lord na we have this kind of organization that cares for us as well. So, yun, salamat din sa gobyerno, sa leadership ng ating Pangulo that really appreciates or value the service that our soldiers are giving. So, aside from this, no, that part of our training right now is to focus on things that will build our character. So, those are ways now to refocus our targets. And connected to the second point is strategize the approaches. And what I mean by approaches are new approaches. Kaming military, to be honest, or to accept it, no, admittedly, sanay kami sa mga traditional type of learning or teaching, usually in the classroom. But right now, I am happy that we are venturing on learning other approaches and methodologies in teaching. And actually, one of the blessings that we have is Vibal giving us these kinds of webinar series. In fact, fan ako. I'm a follower and I'm learning a lot from what has been being given sa mga webinar series na ito, no? So it allowed me to, being the commanding officer of the Training Development Center, it has allowed me to look on the other methodologies on how we can improve our education and training. So this time, yun na, na-mention lagi yung mga 21st century skills in learning. This means that we could venture our schools. We are encouraging our schools now to venture on activities that will encourage collaboration, critical thinking, and all of those 21st century skills na pwede nating magawin, no, or ma-achieve. Also, it's time for us also to look into furthering yung scope or yung coverage ng pag-employ namin ng educational technology. And again, organizations like Vibal has helped us get to know what are these educational technology, and even DepEd has it, and different schools who are participating here, no? And it's so exciting na pwede po naming ma-calibrate ngayon yung mga nakaugalian na naming approaches or shift to the new now, yung new normal. And of course, ito po yung isang napakahalaga sa amin. Despite the new approaches, no, we are also looking into how we can improve the safety culture here, because one of the emphasis of the Philippine Air Force is the culture of safety. We are a staunch advocate of keeping our environment, our organization, our people safe. Yan. So these are the things that we are considering. So right now, we are happy to inform you that your military has also shifted or trying to learn more about yung tinatawag natin na blended learning. My unit for one, kasi kami po, TDC is somehow a school which offers the instructor qualification course. We have actually employed the blended learning. So ito nga yung some of the pictures that we have. We're in, yun nga, in the previous webinars, no, we have defined blended learning as a methodology wherein we employ different methods or a mix of methods, no, having online in the online platform, and also having face-to-face pa rin, mga ganun. So ngayon we're conducting the instructor qualification course, and so far the blended learning way of teaching or training is working for us very well. Okay, so I'm sure our students are very much privileged or thankful na hindi po nakahinder yung sitwasyon natin para ma-impede yung or mapikilan yung pagkatuto nila, okay, sa larangan na ito ng pagtuturo. So this is a milestone for us actually in the Philippine Air Force. And for us, there is more to learn. Ang dami-dami pa kailangan matutunan. Distance learning, e-learning, flexible learning. I'm happy for flexible learning. I'm learning a lot about this, and I plan to do this also, or to adopt the flexible learning that we have been discussing the past days, no, in the Vibal webinar series. Okay. So also, we are developing a learning management system as well. And hopefully, Vibal can help us. And also, again, venturing on other educational technology. Sabi ko nga, it's our time, not only for the Philippine Air Force, but I hope the whole of armed forces of the Philippines, education and training sector, to adapt to the new now. Yung new normal nga po ng pagtuturo. It's tapos na po kasi yung traditional. Okay? And I'm happy that here in the Philippine Air Force and here in AETDC, as guided by our leader, our commander, name drop ko lang po siya as very competent mentor, si Major General Ferdinand M. Cartojano, sir. And he is into this. Very supportive po siya sa mga innovations that we can do in the Philippine Air Force. So, I hope magpatuloy po kami sa ganito. And I hope you're also encouraged that your military is also trying to learn the ropes in utilizing mga modern technologies in order for us to adapt, no, in the new now, sa new normal. Okay, and again, syempre nabanggit ko na po to, one of the things that we really emphasize is safety. So I'm happy to inform you as well that your armed forces, particularly the Philippine Air Force, is very much observing yan, this yung pagiging safe. In fact, we have what we call the Clean Airman Scheme that we practice here to ensure na lahat po ng ginagawa namin galing sa bahay, sa opisina, when we board the aircraft, or whatever we do, kailangan po ma-ensure that safety is paramount. So yun, we have this motto, mission first, but safety always. So dyan naman po kayo makakaasa We've been doing this in the past years, and we are committed to do this in the future. Putting the safety of our airmen and airwomen first, the safety of our assets, our aircrafts, and our air bases. Okay, so we've been discussing kung ano po yung mga nangyari, no? Now that we're facing this condition or situation in our country, and ito na po talagang acceptance stage that we are in the new normal now. Again, it's not easy na palabas-labas po tayo. That's why I would like to remind again our people na wag po tayong palabas-labas kung hindi po talaga kailangan. At the same time, kami nga po bilang your armed forces, and in order for us to serve you effectively, willing din po kaming mag-adjust in the new normal that we're doing. Especially kami po na nasa education and training sector. And we are doing the things that, or we're trying to aspire to do the things na na-mention ko po kanina, what other approaches that we can do to improve our education and training. So yun. So as a conclusion, may time pa ba tayo? Okay, just to give you pampagood vibes, to encourage you. Ayun. In this new now, for us in the military, some things will never change for us. And we may look for new methods, approaches, instructional platforms, but one thing remains the same for us in the military. So this is just to flex the armed forces of the Philippines, particularly us in the Philippine Air Force, that still may hindi po nagbabago sa amin. And that is our commitment to our mission, our mandate, and our cause. At alam po natin na nabanggit ko po yun kanina. That's why I really made it a point to share to you the mission of the armed forces, because that's one thing na hindi po natin talaga, kaming nasa military, hindi po namin i-compromise yan. Okay? And that is, yun nga po, to serve and protect the Filipino people and secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of its national territory from internal and external threats. And that's why in order for us to be prepared for that mission, no, we have no choice but to continue to train. We will be committed to still make it our priority na ma-equip po talaga ang kasundaluhan, lalo na po ang nandito sa Philippine Air Force through our Air Education Training and Doctrine Command and its schools. Okay, so to end, ito bilang isang guro, I've been in the profession for more than 10 years, and this quote from Henry Brooks Adams seemed to never fade away from how it is touching my heart every time I read it. So sa akin naman po bilang guro, I take joy to know this, na may katotohanan nga po ito, that a teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. So ako po, isa pong pribilehiyo na mapabilang po sa, hindi lang po bilang isang guro, pero bilang isang sundalong guro. For us nga in the Corps of Professors, sometimes we term it na we are in a twice noble profession, being mandated to help serve and protect the people and the land. We are also mandated to help equip those who will serve and protect the land. So, dalawa po yung nahihit namin na mission every time we do our jobs. So, ako po, nagpapasalamat ako to God that I've been given the privilege of serving in this capacity as a mentor and an educator. And masigit pa na privilege na bigay sa akin because I'm serving those who will eventually become the heroes and leaders of this land. So, for us, bilang isang commitment po, we, the AFP mentors, especially kami pong AETDC mentors, will continue to do effectively and excellently what we have been mandated to do, because by doing this, we help learners, we build leaders, and we mold heroes. So, yun po. Ako po yung nagpapasalamat for this opportunity that was given to us, to me, as your speaker this afternoon. And sa totoo lang po, nag-share lang po ako kung anong nangyayari sa amin dito. At the same time, also emphasizing yung kabayanihan din po na naproproduce ng aming organization. So I hope we will not forget na marami pong nagsasakripisyo ng buhay para sa atin. And I hope that we should be thankful, especially ngayon po sa araw ng kasarinlan ng Pilipinas. I hope that you can remember your neighbors who are soldiers or in the uniform service. And I hope kahit hindi nyo sabihin, kahit kay God na lang, na ipag-pray nyo rin po sila. Ang kanilang safety and that they will be able to continue to perform their jobs effectively. Bigyan pa sila ng lakas, katalinuhan, and competencies that they need para po ma-perform nila yung kanilang mga jobs namin, yan, bilang mga sundalo. So again, ako'y nagpapasalamat for you listening to me. Ayun, so thank you for participating. Again, stay safe. And I hope you have learned a lot from this webinar. Yeah. So I think that's the end for me here for this time. Meron po ba tayong mga katanungan? Okay, merong mga katanungan. Sige. Dito ko na lang babasahin. Okay, from Maria Cecilia Vasconcillo. How should the ROTC be implemented in the senior high school? Okay. So for the ROTC in the senior high school, actually we have a branch or hindi branch yung tawag namin, but there is a military unit that is particularly serving in that capacity po sa ating reserve force, and that is yung aming mga, sa amin po sa Air Force, we have the RSENs that are the ones conducting ROTC program. So I'm not privy to the system right now that they're implementing among the senior high school, but I know na nagko-continue pa na rin naman po ang mga ROTC programs. So if you have questions, specific questions, meron pong RSEN or reserve centers po, Air Force Reserve Centers na malapit po usually sa inyo. Okay, kung wala mang Air Force, meron pong mga Navy Reserve Centers and also the Army. So usually nasa schools naman po sila, and from the discussions that I've heard, talaga naman po sa senior high school ilalatag ang ROTC. But I'm not in the position to answer how they are conducting po yung ROTC training. Okay? So, meron pong website sa amin sa Air Force. You can actually look into that. I believe that they can answer you sa reserve command po namin. Okay, next question from Alvarisa Bauding Sadkoy. Okay, question po. With all the philosophy, code of ethics, training units, why is it that hazing-related cases exist and are rampant? Okay, I'm not sure kung rampant. For the existence, yes, we are aware na meron pong nangyari recently, lalo na po sa isang military unit, no? But for us in here, again, hindi ko po masasagot kasi yung para sa ibang unit, but for us in the Philippine Air Force, we are very committed to adhere to the anti-hazing law, no? So if ever na may mangyaring ganon, truly the brunt of the law will be upon them, those who violate such law. Pero so far, we are thankful here in the Philippine Air Force, particularly here in the Air Education Training and Doctrine Command, na wala po kaming mga related cases, no, of hazing for some time now, lalo na po nung pinaigting na talaga yung ating pag-implement or pag-observe ng mga batas na yan. So as for the others, again, I cannot answer it, pero alam po natin na kahit ang national government or yung pamunuan po namin sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, as well as the Secretary of National Defense, and even our President is against it, no? hindi po dapat mangyari ang hazing sa mga military units. So I hope, Alvarisa, I answered that. Kasi sa totoo lang, hindi rin bukod sa batas, no, na may anti-hazing law tayo, hindi talaga naaayon yan sa aming philosophy, code of ethics, etc. Okay? So also, June M. Nara, you have a question. How to apply as reservist po? So, taga saan ka ba, Mr. June Nara? Okay, so gaya na nasabi ko, we have geographically located, differently located na mga Air Force Reserve Centers. So you can you can give your application to those reserve centers. Like for us, dito po sa mga nasa Batangas area, Southern Tagalog area, we have the 3rd ARCEN located here in Lipa City. If you want to become a reservist, pwede po kayo mag-apply. Now, as for the other, again, other branches of service, yung mga reserve centers nila, hindi po ako familiar sa mga locations, but they have websites. The Philippine Army and the Philippine Navy have their websites. I believe meron po doon. They will show you the map where to apply for as a reservist. So I have a lot of friends already na nag-apply po sila, and alam naman po natin, mga artista rin nag-apply. So, mga nag-apply po, artistahin. So, bukod po sa magiging artistahin kayo, it's an opportunity for you to serve the nation, not only the armed forces, by being a reservist. So, I hope ituloy mo yung application mo, Mr. June. Hello, at shout out po kay Miss Ann Sevilla. Hello, Ann. Salamat. I know you're instrumental for having me being invited here. So salamat, and to the Vibal group, maraming salamat po sa inyo.